Right folks, so welcome back to another video. You can tell the weather's brightening up because I'm wearing a t-shirt. But yeah, we are doing an RS3 and M140i comparison. I'm going to give you a walk around first. Then we're going to take you on some country roads and give you like a back-to-back kind of driving feel, impressions, or however that makes sense. And yeah, just basically tell you what I prefer at this moment in time. Now both cars do sit at quite different price brackets. Reason being, this is a fully fledged RS model and this is classed as like an M Lite or M Performance model. It's not a full fat M car. But because it's got such a solid engine, I do feel like you can kind of put them in the same video. I had an S3 for a few years, which some of you guys will probably think is a better comparison, but I'll be honest, the S3 doesn't come close to the M140i. But I'll try and save most of my driving impressions for when we're actually on the road. RS cars always held their value as well, so even though you do pay an extra outlay, say for example, this is a 2019 2020 car, so for an 18 reg equivalent age, it's still about a £20,000 gap between both cars. But yeah, speaking of RS cars, I just want to give a massive shout out to Omaze for sponsoring today's video. They're giving you a chance to win an RS6 Avant and $20,000 cash. So as you guys know, I'm a big RS fanboy, so it's pretty cool to partner up with a company like Omaze, which is giving away something that's relevant to you guys, and I know a lot of you lot will enjoy. It's just cool someone's going to win this thing. As I'm sure most of you guys know, the RS6 Avant is no joke. It's also the first RS6 Avant that any of you US guys who are watching have ever gotten. 4-litre twin-turbo V8, 591 horsepower. 0 to 60 takes as little as 3.1 seconds, which is ridiculous for such a big thing. You've also got the massive flared arches, the 22-inch wheels. This particular one as seen on the screen is finished in Sebring black crystal. The flared arches just do something for me, man. The interior's got all the tech as well that you'd ever need. Bang & Olufsen sound system, heads-up display, Audi virtual cockpit, all the assistant packages. Not to mention the added bonus of 20,000 cash on the side. I know what I'd do, I'd probably modify it. It'd be pretty cool, you know, added a few nice little bits on RS6. Not that it needs it anyway, it's pretty much a beast as it is. So yeah folks, head over to Omaze.com/TRHamza for your chance to win. The other benefit of going through Omaze as well is that any donation you make goes towards supporting a good cause, and that's the Peterson Automobile Museum, whose job is to explore and present the history of the automobile and its impact on global life and culture. And any donations you make will go towards improving their education programs, both on-site and online. But yeah folks, I'd like to thank Omaze again for sponsoring today's video. What we'll do now, we'll begin with the walk around. We'll start with the 140i first and then head over to the RS3. Both cars are stage 2, or this one's stage 2 plus because it's going to operate fuel pump. If you've been following this series on this, you'll know we've made quite a bit of progress on the mods in quite a short amount of time. This thing's pretty much complete at this point. It's a stage 2 car tuned by MRC Tuning. You got the Venturi intake, you got decat downpipe, OPF delete because this is a later RS3. Gonna operate intercooler, Venturi intake also, so a bit of a similarity there. Decat downpipe. This car did make 452 PS on a base stage 2 plus file. There is a bit more in it. That car made around, I believe, 537 PS. That's both 99 run figures. Normally when doing a video on this, I do tend to run octane boosters, so it's around the 570 mark. But for the purposes of today's drive, they're both 99 run. We've also got MSS springs on both. I can't really show it on the RS3 because the arch gap is tiny, but if you look through here, you'll be able to see orange springs. And they also both are passive cars, so this RS3 doesn't have mag ride the same way this doesn't have adaptive suspension. Now this being a full fat RS car, a lot of the parts on it are a bit more higher quality, you could say. I'll probably explain once we go for a drive. The stock damping on this, yeah, is probably where they've cut the most corners, but to be expected because even though it has a bunch of these badges everywhere, it's no M car. The main cool thing about this though is the fact that you can buy one of these for less than half what that probably costs and still spend a bit of money and then transform the car totally. This one does have a wave track differential. That's probably the best mod I've done on it. Of course in the past I have had an S3 facelift, the 8V, and the M2 as well, the M2 LCI with the N55. I do prefer the M140i, reason being that engine is just a beast. The M140i uses a ZF8 speed, which is a traditional automatic, and the RS3 uses a DSG box, albeit it is different to the one in your Golf Rs and your S3s. It's a DQ500. It's just a bit of a beast, the way you can just handle silly power, and it does make a different noise on downshifts, etc. Other similarities include the fact that, well, this has an M Performance exhaust and that has an RS Sports exhaust, so it has like, they both have the OEM sort of improved exhaust. I mean, this is a dealer fit option. On that, it's obviously on the configurator, or if you've got an Audi Sport Edition like this, it just comes standard. Now, areas where you can tell this is a full fat RS car and this is not a full M car is stuff like the brakes. I mean, they're by no means bad, but I mean, look at the size. Well, it doesn't help that I've got these. Yeah, I never thought this one through. was gonna say look at the brakes on the RS3, but they're covered in wheels. Yeah, calipers are massive. You can't see nothing behind there, but believe me, they're bigger. Other things, interior wise, I think the RS3's got a bit more of a better grade leather, like I'll show you in a second. Like for example, on BMWs you get Dakota. I do think these are better support than the RS3 seats though, and also the fact that this has electric seat option, whereas on this 45 to 50,000 pound car there is no option of having electric seats if you want the lovely super sports. If you go for the standard boring looking seats, which trust me you don't want, then you can get an electric seat option, but it's silly. I'm not fussed anyway, but it's something to note. You got this more higher quality Napa leather style finish. I say solidity wise, the M140i dashboard is pretty solid. It does like to keep bonging at me. This being an LCI 2, you got this nice change to the dash, so the trim piece extends. You know what it is, like I've done 3,500 miles in this car and I really do enjoy it. I'll be honest, it doesn't feel like a car that's significantly cheaper than that. Once you put a wave track in it and you tune it, really it's hard to beat at this money. I'd have it over S3 any day. That's why I wouldn't even bother putting an S3 in this comparison. What I'll do, I'll give you guys a little cold start on both cars. Sound is a personal thing. I think the 5-cylinder Audi's got a bit more of a unique sound. It's not common in many cars hearing this tone. It's very Hurricane or R8 V10 style. The DNWA engine block, the later OPF one, has different cams to a Daza, so it's a bit higher pitched sound. This has this deep, you know, it sounds like torque, this thing. Literally, that's the best way I can explain it. You get a rush of noise through the cabin. You'll see later when we take it for a drive, but it's just cool having a longitudinally mounted inline 6 and rear wheel drive in a hatchback. It just normally just doesn't make sense. That's probably why it's discontinued now for packaging reasons. Yeah, no cold start delete on this. That's just a decal on an MP. There's no resonator deletes or anything chopped out. That's just how it is. VRSF 4.5-inch decal. Bit of a machine, to be fair. Right, so this one has got a cold start delete, so it won't be as crazy. The M140i, I did have an option of putting one on, but I left it off because I just wanted it to sound loud anyway, because yeah, I just felt like it. Let's go for it. A lot more muted. As you can tell, it's quite refined. It's in comfort mode as well. Once you open the valves, it's ridiculous. I mean, even if I just pressed it here and just open them. I know some of you folks want to see a side-by-side with the RS3 and the M140i and all that stuff. M140i is not in its optimal state of tune anyway, so it wouldn't have made sense. Unless you've got a spare airfield, then let me know. For now, we're just going to focus on driving them back-to-back on the same roads. What I'll do, I'll leave this video relatively uncut because there is a lot to talk about. There's not going to be like a, you know, head-to-head or which should you have, should you discount the other one if this one's better, or there's a reason why I've got both, because they serve quite different purposes, even though they're both hot hatchbacks, if you can even call that anymore. They just got to a point where they're just fast cars. But yeah, what we'll do, we'll head out now on the RS3 first. If you do enjoy content on both of these cars, make sure you do subscribe. The next video is going to be quite interesting on this one. But yeah, let's get started. I'm going to try and be as honest as I can. As you know, over the last few years, whenever I drive an RS3, even if it's my own car like this one, I do tend to get quite excited. I mean, the sound of this thing's always addictive. I mean, this one, as you know, is stage 2. The thing is, with a 4-wheel drive car like this, what I've noticed is you can have like tons of power. Like, this thing's a quick car on paper. It's a quick car in person, let's not forget. Oh, listen to that one. It's just, it's so like capable that it almost takes away from the driving experience. When I used to drive these cars back in, you know, 2017, 2018, and I was like, I had my S3 and I didn't really drive too many of the cars, it used to feel like the best thing ever. I'm not saying it, there's a lot of, you know, prefacing in these comments I'm saying, but it's still a special car, but it doesn't like blow me away anymore, even on stage 2. That's just my honest thoughts. I'm not gonna like try and fake it just to be like, okay, Audi RS fanboy or whatever. The sound obviously doesn't get old. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 159 1 there's no challenge. Like, there is no challenge driving one of these. Even if you've got one and you think there isn't, mate. It's just a good car. It's like a Golf R with sound. That's what it is. Ride-wise, comparing it between the two cars, now in stock form, I'll be honest, there's no comparison. The RS3 is in a different league to the M140i. Stock form, M140i is just a soft, wallowy thing. The engine's the only good thing. Yeah, the main appeal of this thing is just coming across like cars that are much quicker and knowing you can take them on. The M140i is quick, but you have to drive the crap out of it. And you know, and once the weather gets a bit damp, like there's a big cloud up there, I know this thing's gonna be quick regardless. And this thing does a low 3 second to 60 just all the time. The other things that the driving position in this thing's just a bit more kind of like, it's not as cocooned as the M140i, so you don't feel like you're in the car, you're on top of it and just steering really. You got a high sort of, you know, vantage point. It's always ready to go. Oh no way, is that M140i? Oh, 17, it must be. The guy just, wherever you are, if you're watching the video, mate, yeah, he did put his thumbs up there. The speakers of this thing, if you've got a Bang & Olufsen sound system, it's not even a comparison. The Harman cards in the M140i, nah, it's like a radio in comparison. Sketchy area, man. You know, every time I do that, yeah, I forget exactly what I was rambling on about. Yeah, in short, an RS3 is all about its engine. Don't expect too much more than that. I wonder if some of you guys are probably thinking like Hamza is just like, he doesn't seem impressed with the car anymore. I'm not trying to give off that vibe. It's just, you get used to whatever you buy. So maybe that's another thing to point out. If you're going to buy a nice car, or the one you've always wanted, like an RS3 like this, you're going to enjoy it 100%. But everything gets old after a while, and there's always something new. But yeah, let's hop in the M140i and give you my back-to-back thoughts on the both cars. Right folks, here we are on the M140i. To be fair, just cut all the power then. Need not say more. The wave track is something else. Now this thing definitely doesn't feel as capable on a road like this. You have to be more on your game. Obviously the super sports are pretty much past it, but there is something to be said about a fun, you know, it keeps you on your toes, and maybe that's what I've been missing. Like here, like, I'll be honest, I'm not flooring it fully, but I feel like I'm doing something. The best way for me to put it is that when I drive the RS3, the engine makes me laugh, like gets me excited. This thing is not, the engine, like the shove, it kind of just holds you back, but the chassis like makes you laugh. So it's two different ways of having fun. I mean, right now the car is like already just, I mean, it's better because it's on the MSS springs, but it's way more fidgety on this exact stretch compared to the RS3. Way more fidgety. The brakes aren't as good as the RS3 either. But yeah, then it's not a full M car, is it? I mean, this is an M performance car. This is like an S3 rival technically, but I'll be honest guys, I've had an S3, a facelift one, 8V, which was what I started the channel on. This thing's a different league to that car. I wouldn't even bother comparing it. It just feels like, yeah, BMW could have made an M1, or obviously the M1 exists, you know, in history, but they could have made an M car out of this, but I feel like it'd be too overpowered then. So they're like, we'll give you the nice engine, solid B58, but you do the chassis mod yourself. Now, the thing about the stock dampers, B8, Bilstein B8s are not actually that expensive. They're like £500–600. So if you add that to the thing, you're still not fully, like, you know, you're not seriously deep into the car. Obviously this build that I'm doing is more than what most would do. Like the Pure 800 is quite a significant cost. And that's because I just want to see what these things can do. But booting, I love doing this, slowing down and just booting it. One thing I don't want you guys to get twisted is, I'm not talking about a stock M140i here. If you buy a stock M140i and think you're getting close to a stock facelift RS3, it don't come close. The main thing I'm trying to sort of highlight is the fact that you can spend maybe 5 to 6 grand on one of these, still be significantly quids in compared to an RS3 and still have a good experience. Now if you're like me and you want to take off the 5-cylinder and have that, you know, special feel, RS3 will do it for you, but this is a fantastic off the money. It just gets going, man. Absolutely flies. Yeah, if you like the bit of fear, this is the car to get. But yeah folks, I think we'll wrap up the video here. Hopefully you enjoyed my brief back-to-back take on both cars. Now I enjoy both of them in different ways. I've always wanted an RS3, so nothing to take away from it. At this moment in time, I will say I'm enjoying the M140i more because it offers a bit more of a challenge, and I like a car that, you know, starts off weak and then, you know, you do bits to it and it gets better, and it's just a cool project. And RS3 is like a beast out of the box. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you do enjoy this kind of content. Let me know if you want to see any more comparisons. Look out for this week, the turbo may be going on, I won't say just yet. And also a big shout out to Omaze for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you check out the link that's in the description. I'll stop rambling now guys. Make sure you drop a like on the video, and yeah, just see you in the next one.